Bobby Parrish from Flav City is a waste of time. I want to preface this by saying, my name's Carrie. I'm from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet. First, I want to say shout out and credit to Bobby Parrish because he's opening a lot of people's eyes as to the fact that almost every single product in the grocery store, most grocery stores, large ones have 60,000 products, are not good for human consumption. They're full of sugars and seed oils and dyes, and we're slowly poisoning ourselves with these foods. Now, back in my keto days, I followed Bobby Parrish from Flav City religiously. And you'd see him go through the grocery store and look at all of these 60,000 products, and he would scrutinize all of the ingredients in each of the products. And inevitably, he'd be looking at a product and he'd say, nope, you can't do this one because it's got X. Nope, you can't do this one because it has Y. It's an arduous task, spending hours and hours and hours looking through all of the food. You turn a simple grocery trip into an hour long investigation of trying to find something that is simply suitable for human consumption. On the proper human diet, I eat foods that are only natural to me. Now, I had Bobby's app, which is the Bobby approved app, and I used to go through the grocery store. This was back in my keto days, and scan, and almost every single thing that came up, not Bobby approved, not Bobby approved. There's 60,000 products in the grocery store, and while I appreciate what Bobby's doing, he's trying to help people, and he's spreading awareness that, look, all this garbage and poison we're putting into our bodies. But he's still approaching it from, in my opinion, a dumb way. Here's an analogy. I like analogies. Let's say I'm a gold miner. Let's say I go down to the river. I'm in Alaska, and there's a huge chunk of gold sitting there right next to the river. And I walk right past that chunk of gold with my little gold pan, and I go into the water, and instead I proceed to pan 60,000 pans of dirt, sitting there panning it. One, and each one takes several minutes. And then you get to the bottom, and you're like, oh, there's nothing in there. Next one, and you do that 60,000 times. Trying to get what? What are you trying to do, Bobby, by going and looking at every single one of these ingredients and analyzing the 50 or 60 different ingredients that are in those foods? What are you trying to do? Trying to find something that is for human consumption. It's like you're panning through all of that dirt 60,000 times to get a little flake of gold. When you walked past the gold nugget, and what is the gold nugget? It's beef, butter, bacon, eggs. It's meat. It's one ingredient, natural foods that humans have eaten since the start of time. It's the proper human diet. We are overcomplicating things so much. And what's going to happen when he goes through all of these ingredients and he finds that little flake of gold? Well, you have a little flake of gold amongst a huge amount of effort you put into just finding that little flake of gold. And then what impurities are in that gold that come along with it that aren't in that huge nugget? It just doesn't make any sense, man. We overcomplicate things so much. 60,000 products in the grocery store. There's like a handful of them that I eat. Beef, butter, bacon, eggs, a little bit of seafood, some chicken, here or there. I've been doing that now for over 320 days. I'm down 100 pounds since my heaviest. I lost most of that on carnivore, some of it on keto, but I lost all of it on the proper human diet, eating natural foods that humans are intended to eat instead of eating all these other things that are mildly poisoning us for years and years. I overcame a lifelong battle with depression and anxiety. Most of my adult life, I was depressed. For 10 years of my adult life, I was on an assortment, a cocktail of different antidepressant medicines. SSRI, anti-anxiety, medicines to help me sleep, and none of them worked. The only thing that worked was eating the proper human diet. I got rid of the arthritis that was in my elbows and it was in my back. It was in my foot so bad I could barely walk. I no longer have IBS. My stomach was gurgling and bubbling. I was bloated all the time before. I tried going down this path with Bobby before. And again, I really respect what he's doing because he's creating awareness. Like, look, all of these products are horrible. But when you have to be a scientist, a food detective, to the degree that a simple grocery shopping trip ends up taking hours and hours of deep, intense investigation, or you get his app, which does make it easier, and then you scan. I use this app. I tried it once. I really tried to use it well, and it's just everything I scan, not approved, not approved, not approved. Why is that? Because almost 60,000 products in the grocery store, almost all of them, are not approved for human consumption. They're filled with seed oils, sugars, dyes, artificial flavors, all sorts of garbage. It's processed and it's horrible for humans. It's become our collective norm. Everyone's just like, you're overreacting, it's just fine. But meanwhile, the evidence says otherwise. Meanwhile, 70% of Americans are overweight. A large majority of them, too, are obese. Type 2 diabetes is going through the roof. Billions of dollars spent on cancer. It keeps going up and up and up. Heart disease is the #1 killer. And in terms of mental health, depression, and anxiety, that's become a new normal, too, that just everyone is always anxious all of the time. 40% of college students have mental health issues. They're depressed. Bipolar, autism, ADHD, it's all going through the roof. It's not normal. It's very simple. What has happened? Humans have escaped from what is natural. The further and further we get away from what is natural, the sicker and sicker we get. And the #1 way we've escaped from what is natural is our food. That is the biggest piece of the pie, our food. The other way is we're not getting natural sunlight. We're not getting exercise. We're sitting under fluorescent lights all day. We're doing this all day long instead of getting out into nature, breathing fresh air. But the biggest one is our food. We've escaped from what is natural. And while I appreciate what Bobby's doing here, pointing at the ingredients in the plastic container, that food is not natural. You can concoct it and you can change it and you can put some ingredients in it and you can get close to natural, which is what Bobby tries to do. We're pretty good here, but it's not natural. Instead of going through this charade of 60,000 products, I ask you this, Bobby Parrish from Flav City, why not just eat what is natural? I know it's crazy and it's hard to wrap our brains around because for the last 100 years or so, we've normalized the standard American diet. That is normal to everyone. Everyone feels like that's just the way it's always been. No, that's not the way it's always been. Going to a grocery store with 60,000 products. Look, he's looking at cream cheese right now. There's 25 different types of cream cheese. He goes in the ketchup aisle and there's 50 different types of ketchup. That's not normal. That's a new phenomenon. That hasn't happened since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time, since the beginning of civilization, humans ate like I do. They were hunters and gatherers. They'd go out into the woods. They'd hunt a big animal. They'd kill it. They'd eat it. And then they would feast. And then they would fast for a couple days till they could find another one. And in the summertime, maybe for a week or so, they'd get some fresh berries. Which, by the way, those aren't the berries you get in the grocery store. The wild berries that someone would have gotten out in the wild are not riddled with pesticides, GMOs, and forever chemicals. That is the other problem we have. A lot of the stuff that he's looking at and he's trying to find the needle in the haystack, he's trying to find a little flake of gold in the pan, is surrounded by things that are unnatural, that are processed. And when we talk about processed foods, what are we talking about? Stuff that comes from vegetables. And when we're talking about vegetables, everyone has this social norm. They're so good for you. I gotta have my salad. It's so good for you. It's so good for you. Yet the evidence is really pointing in the other direction. A lot of vegetables are filled with toxins. Most of the vegetables that you get in the stores that Bobby's at right now are riddled with pesticides. They're riddled with Roundup, glyphosate, forever chemicals. People take these things home and they're like, oh, I sprinkled some water over it, it's okay now. Meanwhile, the interior of that fruit or vegetable is full of pesticides. They've done studies on it. They've done videos on it. They juice it. They extract the juice, and then they analyze it. It's full of pesticides. Oh, but I rinsed it off under the sink. And that's what humans are consuming. That is not natural. That's not what we've done from the start of time. And for over 320 days now, I've eaten nothing but the proper human diet. Beef, butter, bacon, eggs. Natural items. Nothing processed. I've minimized to as much as I possibly could coming in contact with pesticides or dyes, sugar, which is a highly addictive drug we give to our kids, which is just sick. We get them hooked on this drug and we say, oh, it's just fine, because we've always done that. It's just fine. We put cartoon characters on cereal boxes. Kids go to grandma's house, they give them cookies, and they reward them with what is literally an addictive drug that is wreaking havoc on their bodies. Now, most people in the social norm are saying, I'm crazy and I'm overreacting. Yet these kids' teeth are rotting, they're getting ADHD, autism numbers are just going through the roof, cancers, amongst people under 50, cancers are rising. It's just everything is pointing to how unhealthy we've gotten, but it's just been this new normal. I'm going to break that new normal. I'm going to do everything I can to break that new normal. And how do we do that? When you're living in a world with this social norm where billions of people are doing one thing and they're all getting sicker. Brain fatigue, brain fog, depression, anxiety, everyone's got some issue or ailment or sickness and it's become the new normal. But then you have a couple people standing out, positive deviants. I'm a positive deviant. I believe there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of positive deviants right now that are saying, no, this isn't normal, this standard American diet, normalizing sugar, normalizing seed oils, normalizing toxins and pesticides in our body. This isn't normal. These positive deviants like myself, we're having incredible success. We have to elevate the voices of these positive deviants in order to break these social norms, which are so hard to break. Why are they so hard to break? Because the standard American, eating the standard American diet, has brain fog. They are literally impaired. The brain is energy hungry. It requires a ton of fuel to work, to function. And most people aren't giving it the proper fuel, and therefore they have brain fog and fatigue, and they can barely get through the day. So the brain comes up with little routines and things to do, and one of those routines is social norms. Let's just go with the flow and do everything everyone else has done. I've broken free from that. I'm full of energy. I'm full of life. My brain has more than enough energy to sit here and talk to you for 15, 20 minutes straight without rehearsing, without having any notes, without preparing for any of this. Meanwhile, the standard American can barely get a word out. They're flustered and they're mumbling and they can't find the word because their brain is impaired. It's basically like they're walking around intoxicated. And that is something that has become a social norm, and these social norms are incredibly hard to break, but we're going to do it with our documentary, Healing Humanity. We're going to highlight and elevate the voices of positive deviants, people that are going outside the box. It's the same circumstances. I go to the same grocery store you do. All of the other positive deviants I talk to, most of them go to the same grocery stores you do. But we are having amazing success. No depression, no anxiety, losing the weight. We're proper humans. We're going after our goals and dreams. We're thriving. Where the rest of America is literally impaired. It's like they're walking around drunk, intoxicated on the standard American diet. You elevate the voices of positive deviants and it can break those social norms. And that's my goal with this documentary, Healing Humanity, the Power of a Proper Human Diet. If you're interested in participating, there's a link in the description below. We're raising funds to continue filming. We've already filmed several individuals. We're following people over the course of a year that are doing the proper human diet to lose weight, to overcome type 2 diabetes, to overcome crippling depression and anxiety like I did. And we have some incredible stories we've captured already, but there's more to go. Next week, we're going out to film the great Dr. Ken Berry in Tennessee. I can't wait to do that. I'm so excited to do that. None of this would have been possible without donations from folks like you. So we're selling shirts. We're selling our Redmond's salt shakers. Those are these. So lots of salt. Like everything else has sugar in it. Redmond's is a clean salt. A lot of carnivores and people doing the proper human diet use Redmond's. So we're selling these. You can get these on the website. Link in the description below. This is a little portable Redmond's. Comes with a little keychain holder. You can put it in your purse. I like to keep mine in my purse. You can put it on your keychain. And then if you go out to eat or you go to a get-together or a family event, you can have your clean salt with you. Most table salt is bleached and full of sugar. Just like everything else in this world, it's got to have that addictive drug, sugar in it. None of this would be possible without the generous donations from the community. And I don't get a penny of any of this money. I put thousands of dollars of my own money into it. I am committed. I am on a mission. There's so many people in this world right now that are hopeless, and they don't need to be. We just need to return to what is natural for humans. Thanks a lot for watching. Beep.